Welcome to my screencast for EDU 808. This is an overview of my Assignment 6 course redesign. So for this course redesign, I decided to work with, and I'm sharing my screen now, I decided to work with a first year composition course that is entirely asynchronous. And this module, to set some context, is designed so that students are working on assignment 2, so it's in the course a little bit. They're working on assignment 2, which is a visual argumentative essay, and they're being introduced to it and starting their pre-writing in this particular module. So the module itself is in D2L, and just to give you some basic elements, here is our course site. Okay, and in the content section, just some basic features, provides the syllabus, the course calendar breakdown, an instructor profile, office hours, and then a list of textbooks and resources. So the module that we're going to be looking at in a moment has a weekly overview, an assignment overview, and then course content and assessment as well. Okay. So in terms of the Oscar standards that were met in the design of this, the course includes welcome information on the initial announcements page and getting started email on the announcements page as well, which is sent out. Each module has a weekly overview, which you can see here. And I'll go ahead and click on that. And in the weekly overview, okay, assignments are, or rather, content is related to course objectives. Due dates are listed in the course calendar, and the syllabus provides a quick overview of all of the assignments. And within the modules I just showed, there are more specific instruction sheets as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you the instruction sheet. So here's our module, here's our weekly overview so the students know exactly what they have to do each week, and then they are set up. Now this is a pretty heavy text-based document, okay, but this is about the extent of the length of text-based documents I've provided, and then within them they have usable links. And when you look at the usable link, you can also see it doesn't say click here. This one does say go to the OER multimedia resource list, so that could be a revision. But if we click here, it takes us directly to the source in the window. Okay. Other overview information. Campus policies and learner-supported resource are available in the course shell as well. At the top here, we have student services that are available. That is readily available to them also. There is also an about the instructor in the course information, as I mentioned. My instructor profile. It's actually pretty lengthy, and they can get to know me there. So for technology and tools, as I mentioned, the technology tools are outlined in the syllabus, but when a new technology skill is required, a learning resource is provided to help them with that. So for example, in the module I've designed for this assignment, if we look at the participation post assignment that they're being asked to do, part of it is including a hyperlink. So I ask them to find a resource, and I say that the best way to provide that resource to your classmates is through a hyperlink. So for those who have not done a hyperlink before, here is a video that shows you how to insert a hyperlink. And so they're using a hyperlink, and then they're watching a video that shows them how to use a hyperlink. So a little bit of layering there. Technology tools certainly meet accessibility standards, and I will show you. So when a lecture includes, okay, now that's a pretty heavy text-based document that does not include active engagement. However, I balance that out, or try to balance that out, with these shorter modules that do include the text-based, or excuse me, the video-based lecture. So once they click on this, the video is closed captioned. So if I go ahead and click, there we go. You can see the closed captioning. Okay. All right, so for the design and layout, I feel that the design is consistent throughout the course. If you look at some of the other modules, they do follow that same structure with the weekly overview at the top. And just as a side note, I did use an old course shell, and I built this module into an existing course shell because I did not have an undeveloped D2L course shell to work with for this assignment. So this is built into an old module, or excuse me, an old course shell that I had designed. So if you see all these old dates, that is why. Right? So the design is consistent throughout, and each large chunk I try to break into smaller pieces when possible. So here is an example of that. So the main topic of this module is planning for visual argument. So this is all about their visual argument assignment, which I overview at the beginning of the module. So then planning for visual argument. We talk about planning in this module that I've just shown you. But then I break down the pieces. How do I choose a topic? How do I choose a topic? Where do I find sources for my topic? And then a place to get started finding those sources. And if you look at those modules, if you open those, they are quite small in comparison, or rather in contrast to some of the other larger text-based documents. Okay, and of course, a video, which is a little bit more active than reading. All that content, and then closed captioning is available as well. So because the course is for students who are in their first year of college, some of them in their first semester, I've tried to balance that text-based information with video like I've just shown you. I've also used open educational resources as their two primary textbooks, and we have those textbooks listed. Okay. And it actually overviews the textbooks first and talks about open education resources and what those are. Okay. So OER has been used for those primary textbooks. And then I've also introduced them to OERs in their media sources as well. So when I talk about the assignment, where to find media, I provide that open education link. So let's see, where do I find sources for my visual argument? Again, this should be one of the smaller chunks of information, and this is a link to a list of OER. I think that could be revised a little bit so that we just leave that off, and it isn't as self-referential. That would be one revision to work on. Okay. So in terms of interaction, this module focuses on student-to-student interaction more so than instructor-to-learner interaction. So I have them working on a participation post at the end of the module that will hopefully get them thinking about their topic and interacting with their peers. So I'm asking them in this activity to identify their potential topic for the paper in about 2 to 3 sentences, then find and present a resource that gives their classmates perspective on the topic. And I talk about resources in the actual module content, and I show them how to insert a hyperlink. Of course, I ask them to cite their source, and then to write a paragraph that talks about the perspective of their topic. Right? So after they've done this, and here's where the peer-to-peer interaction comes in, they're being asked to post their response pardon me, to two other students' responses with a paragraph of 25 words, and I give them suggestions for how to respond. You can comment on their MLA, but more than that, I'd like you to think about, is this a new issue for you? The issue being the topic that they're going to write about in the paper. And is this something you've experienced in your own community? So they're really being asked to reflect on that new topic as they're being introduced to it, and then reflect on it. So the idea is it's going to create this discussion board full of issues that exist in these different communities, which relates back to my pedagogical theories of constructivism and CRT. So in terms of interaction as well, one question I have for this redesign is there a good way for me to fit more instructor presence into this module? Yes, I have assessment that I'll be doing through the quiz, but that's not really individualized feedback. So is there a way that I could create more instructor presence? That's one thing that I'd like to work on here. Also in terms of assessment and feedback, grading policies are stated in the syllabus, and assessment elements are directly related to content. So when I have my content, the assessment activity comes directly after the content. One element though that I've not included is the answers for the questions, and this is a plagiarism issue, I feel, or this is an ethics issue. So once I give the quiz, I do not release the questions. And I think another way that I could redesign this course, that now that I'm thinking about it, is I could make it known to them that if they want to review the questions, they just need to email me or come to my office hours and we can talk about the questions at that time. Gradebook, of course, is available right at the top here, easily accessible and usually up to date. And of course, students are asked for their feedback on the course design and the content at the end of the semester. Okay, so this is my module for a first year composition course. And the focus of the assignment is a visual argument that talks about a social issue in their community, and they're being asked to use multimedia. So this has been an overview of how to pre-write, go through those planning stages, and how to start researching their project. And then of course, they'll get some feedback from their peers on that issue that they've chosen. Okay, so thank you for listening to my screencast on designing a module for visual argumentation.